what's going on in the minds of Indians across the country between the ages of 15 and 34 in the post-pandemic world. According to a Lokneeti CSDS survey, they are increasingly self-employed but would love a government job. Unemployment is a major concern for those with jobs. Workload and salaries are a major source of anxiety. Families have gotten closer post-pandemic, but anxiety issues, including the fear of death, is a growing concern. This survey by CSDS-Lokneeti in partnership with Konrad Adenauer and Stiftung was conducted across 18 states and surveyed over 9,000 people in November-December 2022. The respondents were in rural and urban India. Some of the key findings of this survey include, as I mentioned, 23% of youth are self-employed, 16% are professionals, 16% want to join the health sector, 14% say teaching, 61% want government jobs, 27% self-employed, 36% say unemployment is a major problem, 16% say poverty is a key issue. Joining us now is Professor Sanjay Kumar of Lokneeti CSDS, who has seen through this survey. So, very interesting employment profile, high levels of employment, self-employment, 23% being in business, 15% have taken to farming as well. But when asked what you would like to do, 61% say that they want government jobs. So we infer that they're looking to government jobs and they're looking at self-employment primarily because they're not able to find the kind of jobs that they want.
Yes, Veera. This is a question which we have been asking in our previous surveys as well, youth survey. And over a period of time, we have figured out that the desire for a government job is very high. It always ranges in say 60-65%. And there has been very little change in youth's desire for opting for a government job. Youth want to go for a government job, and I think precisely because job security, that is what attracts Indian youth to go for a government job. So the data remains almost static over last 10-15 years. We did the first youth survey in 2006. This is our 5th round of youth survey. We have asked this question 3 times or even 4 times, and there has been very little change. But look at the other question which you are asking about. If we look at the proportion of youth who are in government job and the proportion of youth who are currently in business, the proportion of youth who are in government job at the moment is very little. I think 6% or 9%. And you look at the number of proportion of youth who are currently for gainful employment, they are doing business. These are not big businessmen. These are not youth who are big businessmen. They are doing small petty things, all kinds of things. So the related story is that since the government job is shrinking, youth are, even though they're getting educated with all kinds of new educational institutions coming up, but they are unable to find government job. They are unable to find even a good private job. So large number of youth have started their own, you may call it startup, you may call it small business. That is why the proportion of youth who are in their own business, that has gone up if I compare it with say last 5 years or last 10 years.
Very interesting data that you put out there. The quest for self-employment or business is also suggestive of a new world gig economy, as we call it, much like Bengaluru's startup culture. It's strange that they want job security with a government job, as you point out, but if they don't get that government job, they don't mind going to the other extreme and risking it with a startup?
See, if you compare it with the government job, there is no comparison at all. Because if you ask this question, what kind of a job, which job do you desire to get into? Government job, absolutely no hiccups, nothing, 60-65%.
Okay.
Startup, a little bit of attraction. Not that very large number of people are excited about setting up their own business. But I think, as I said, it is more the push factor. Even if you desire to go for a government job, you're not getting a government job. People are ready to compromise for even a smaller, lower level of government job because job security is what is very important.
And also interestingly, 16% chose the health sector as the one they aspire for. Teaching was next at 14%. These are very interesting. Only 3% for administrative services. Any explanation for the health sector being on top of this list, sir?
See, from the survey, we don't get a sense of the reason why large number of youth seems to be inclined to, go for a job, health in the health sector. But I think since the survey was conducted soon after pandemic, large number of people had bad experience about if somebody in the family or near and dear ones had fallen ill during the pandemic. So they have many of them had a bad experience. So maybe the desire is someone in the family should be in the health sector. So if there is a need, you can get some help. Maybe that's what has started attracting the youth that, I want to join this health sector. Also, in terms of money, people have seen how people in the health sector may have bet money at the time of pandemic. So that may also have been an attraction. But I think the biggest factor may have been that someone in the family should be in the health sector, because this may be handy, this may be useful in times of
the crisis.
Yes.
Crisis. Very, very interesting, those findings. 36% say, though, sir, unemployment is their biggest problem, and 16% say poverty. That's worrying situation despite all statistics of economic growth.
So unemployment is a prime concern today, and I don't hesitate to say, whenever you do a survey, whether it is among the youth, among the cross-section of people across age groups, unemployment continues to be seen as the biggest problem. Because even if you are engaged in a, say, business, you're doing a little bit to get your own earning, but still, some of them, if you ask the question, they would say, yes, I'm engaged in this and that work. But still, I think I'm unemployed, because the concept of employment is that you should be working in an office, whether it is a government office or whether it is a private office. So unemployment continues to be a big concern among the Indian youth. It was the concern even in the past. So I'm not surprised about large number of youth saying unemployment is the biggest problem, because, as I said, that has been the situation even in the past surveys.
Well, that's the economic aspect of it, but you are also talking of the psychological aspect. The survey delves into what the key areas of stress are. For instance, workload and salary are key areas of stress for those with jobs. 32% say they're worried about job loss to a great extent. 47% said screen time has increased after COVID. Sleep and lifestyle changes are also recorded in this survey, as well as a marked increase in use of WhatsApp and YouTube. 36% said increase in loneliness and general fear of death has also increased. These are very concerning aspects. Workload and salary, sir, are the key stress factors for them. Also, paying for medical care was a major issue, and so was making the rent. 47% said they borrowed money.
Yeah, this is the question which was asked. Remember again, this is a survey which was conducted post-pandemic, and the question was asked in the setting of what was their experience during the pandemic, soon after the pandemic, and you can see the figures. The survey indicates the Indian youth faced a lot of hardship when it comes to leading the life for those few months, 6-7 months. They had large number of people had to borrow money. Because there was a lot of expenditure on medical health, jobs were cut down, salaries were cut down. So the survey gives a clear indication of the kind of hardship Indian youth, whether they were living in the family or whether they were living alone, they had to face with regard to income, expenditure, medical expenditure, and several related things.
Right, that's interesting. The impact of COVID on the way people think, the careers they choose, that's the revelation from this. Interesting lifestyle profiles as well. Erratic sleep patterns, as in sleeping later, more exercises, but closer family ties. Despite that, loneliness-related issues, fear of death have been observed. Sort of psychological impact of the pandemic, PTSD.
Absolutely. If you look at the figures, we did ask the question, did you had any mental health related issues before pandemic? And the figures are roughly about 7% youth said they had some kind of a mental health related issues. But post pandemic, during pandemic, it went up to 19%. There's a clear sign that mental health related issues or the problems got aggravated at the time of pandemic, and that required medical attention, etc., etc. So anxieties, fear of death, these all started having a very high toll on the minds of the youth. Because remember what were the stories which were coming at the time of pandemic, second wave of pandemic, people not getting bed, people not getting oxygen, lots of death. So the fear of death was very high at the time of pandemic among the Indian youth, and the survey gives a clear indication of that a very large number of youth fear death, and that is also related to having more anxieties, feeling lonely, because you get a sense that things are not in your hand, things are out of control.
Well, the survey also shows that humor groups is what people want to be, and several interesting insights into it, including the fact that 50% of those who felt suicidal did not take medical help. So concerning facts and important facts as well from that survey. Thank you so much, Professor Sanjay Kumar, for sharing with us those details. Well, that's all we have time for, but lest we forget, today we pay our tributes to those brave Indian martyrs who defended the country at Kargil 24 years ago. We leave you with these images as we remember and honor them on Kargil Divas 2023.